Welcome to my Scrappin space. I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin, and I'm here to share with you one of my Merry Monday cards. What do you say we get my face out of the way and we do some creating? So Merry Monday are the Mondays from July, beginning of July through the end of December, when I share a Christmas card idea with you. Because I know there are people who get their Christmas cards done early and like to make them in summer. I'm not one of those people. I make them at the very end, but I love designing, and then by the time I'm ready to make them, I have all kinds of ideas. And I hope you have all kinds of ideas too. So this is the card I'm going to show you how to make. We are using a bundle that was part of the July 2025 online exclusives. It's called Bauble Blooms. It's a stamp set and a die set, and we're going to use some of both. But let's talk about the other products that I use there. Do you recognize these papers? They're not in any Christmas paper pack you have. They came from Kintsugi Inspirations, which is in the annual catalog. And I thought the paper was really pretty when I first saw it, but I didn't see its potential until I keep going back to it, using it for a variety of cards. And from this paper pack, I'm playing up the gold. I'm using this piece. I'm going to turn it so you can see it. And this piece. From that suite, I'm using an embossing folder that gives a great overall background embossing, so I tend to reach for it a lot, called Join Together. The other things I added to my card, and of course, directions, supply list, measurements are all on my Scrappin with Joni blog. It's this very pretty ribbon. It's soft, it's easy to use, and it's a gold striped mesh ribbon. And then the last thing is a textured metallic, and it comes in 3 different metallics, and I grab the gold, and I'll have that item number on the blog for you. Okay, so now let's talk about our card. I started with a basic white card base. Let's get some pieces out of the way here so I can work. And it's a standard card base. Again, the measurements will be on my blog. I'm going to just fold that and set it aside. Then for the card front, I have this paper. The white and the gold just said Christmas to me. So we're going to emboss, and we're actually going to emboss the card front and the envelope flap. I think embossing an envelope flap does a couple things. One, it adds a lot of interest to your envelope. And for something like a Christmas card where maybe you're going to do a lot of them, you can do 2 at once, like 1 pass through and twice the work. Okay, so we're going to use plates 1 and 4 in the Stampin' Up Cut and Emboss, which means plate 1 you always use. That's this big white one. Then before we put plate 4 on, we're going to put our embossing in, because we always have a plate on top. And I'm just going to set this in here like so. You see, sorry. There we go. And then plate 4 is the gray one that comes with the cut and emboss system. That's here. And I'm just going to run this through. And I'm going to do this so I don't hit my camera stand. Let's try it this way. Yeah, guys, you want to come to me for creativity and ideas, not for technology that has to do with cameras ever. And I'm just going to run it through. Just like that. Have this paper that was pretty to start with, but now look at it. Isn't that something? Okay, while we have this out, let's emboss some envelopes. So I'm going to take 2 envelopes, just grabbing them here from my stash on the side, and I'm going to line them up so they're together as in one, and I'm embossing from the fold here. Okay, so here's how I'm doing it. Let's get this out of the way and down a little lower so you can see. You always see me send it through and I say fold first, but for something like this with the envelope, we're going to go sideways. We're going to make sure they're lined up, and the embossing folder is going to end at that fold line. So I'm lining it up so I can see the end of the embossing at the fold line. And I'm going to, excuse the noise, I'm sorry, I'm going to set this down so that all of the embossing folder is on the plate. And sometimes with the longer embossing folders, it's more important that the embossing folder is on the plate and your envelope may be coming off the end. That's okay, but we don't want to fold the envelope underneath. You're going to get a mark and not always an even embossing that way. And then, as easy as that, I've now added some interest to our envelope. And I did it to 2 at the same time. Okay, we're going to get this out of the way. Yep. Get these pieces out of the way. Again, this is the join together 3D embossing folder. Look what it did to that envelope flap. And again, 2 of them. That's easy. Okay, so we have our card base. Now, I started with this and I felt like it needed one more layer. So that's when I brought in that textured metallic gold. And you'll notice this is a standard mat, 4 by 5 1/4, but there's something missing out of the center. Before I attached it, I die cut the, what would we call that? The ornament hanger. And so it's right out of the center. No one's going to see that. And then I have more gold paper I can use for other things. So we're going to take this, and this is a relatively flat embossed surface. So my tape run is going to work. If you'd prefer multi-purpose glue, that would work too. This is a card that would be great to make in multiples for Christmas. You could emboss all your envelopes one night. You could emboss your, oh guys, guess who did not cut their paper right? When I first designed this, I went with a full piece, but now that I'm using a mat, it needs to be smaller. In case this ever happens to you, this is what I do. Yes, I already have adhesive on the back. So I'm going to cut it from the back so I don't put that adhesive on my cutting plate. I bet that's never happened to you, but seriously, people, there's probably not a mistake in card making I haven't already made, and I can tell you how to fix it. There we go. I'm cutting this down to 3 3/4 by 5, so it's a 1/4 inch smaller than my mat. Yep. There we go. Oh, just a second. I did not, because I'm chatting with you and I didn't quite get it all the way to the end. We're going to grab a little snips rather than tear it, because then I'll have a rough edge. I'm just going to cut right there in the edge. Well, look at that. We're good. Okay. Let's try again. We're going to cover up that opening where I cut out the ornament hanger, like so. There we go. Like seriously, isn't that pretty? Now we're going to put it on our white card base. So again, you could make lots of these and you would do it step by step. Like one night, maybe you'd cut out all of the gold ornament hangers and all of the ornaments. And maybe one night you'd stamp all the insides. And then when you went to assemble, it would take no time at all. And you'll be amazed at how many cards you have done. One of the things I like about this gold, I'm going to grab another piece so you can see it better. It's called textured metallic. See, it's not a flat. And even just that little bit there on the side, you really notice it. So I've attached it to my card base. And I did that before I attached the front because I think it gives me a little better perspective. Okay, so this is one of the die cuts in the Bauble. And as I told you, I cut that out of the gold mat. This is another paper from Kintsugi Inspiration. But clearly, you could use any kind of paper you want to make your ornament. I think this ornament would be fun to do that and then cut a little circle out of the front and maybe put a picture behind it and then, you know, send it. But okay, so many things to do. There we go. And then I attached it. You could use glue. I used tear and tape, but you know what? I think glue is going to be a better choice because my tear and tape was just a smudge wider than what I wanted there. So, and the advantage of using multi-purpose glue is you can kind of move it around. So there we go. Just a touch of the glue. And then we're going to put the hanger on. And I'm just lining up the top of that and kind of centering it. You know what I love is the size of this. So one on the front of a card is enough, though you could do 2. But I'm also thinking it's large enough. They would be great on a scrapbook page. Okay, so now we're going to add some ribbon before we attach it to the card. And the ribbon we're using, again, is this, it's soft, so it's great for that. And it's gold. And I'm going to cut 4 inches, roughly. Now that's more than I need, but it makes it easier for me to knot, and I can then trim it if it frays or something. So now I'm just going to do it 1 knot. Just make a knot at the top. Now you could also like make a hanger and have it come down hanging from there, but I think the knot adds some interest, but that's another way you could do it. And then we're just going to, I'm kind of bringing the knot to the front, and I'm going to trim it, though I kind of like it longer hanging down. We'll see. Next we attach. And for that, I'm using some dimensionals. And if you haven't used dimensionals before, I want you to think of like little pieces of foam that are sticky. They come off the paper sticky. And 4 is more than enough, but it's your card. You can put as many as you want on. I'm going to peel the backs off, and I have a little bowl off to the side that I'm putting the backs in, because these are really staticky and they like to land somewhere else, like on your clothes and on your shoes and in your car. And I'm not centering it. I kind of have it centered but near the top. But it's your card. You can decide. And of course you could add more bling. You could add a sentiment, but I like this a little bigger, but that one feels like it needs to be trimmed. There we go. Yeah. So for the inside, I took a sentiment from the stamp set that said, joyous wishes to you and yours. And I stamped it with Misty Moonlight. But before we attach it to the inside, I have just a 1/2 inch scrap of this paper. And you could have used the white also, but I felt like this was a better contrast and it picked up the ink color. And really a 1/2 inch scrap, you would have tossed it. So it's nice to be able to have a use for it. But what that does is it adds more interest to the inside of your card, and it kind of brings the front of the card to the inside. Just, you know, just kind of stepping up your card making game a little bit. And that's going to go there. That's going to go here. We're going to trim it using the edge of my card as a guide, or card insert rather. As you can tell, this goes together really quick again. And you could use this white with the gold, could use any kind of ornament. So you could use up lots of scraps of paper doing different ornaments. So yes, this may be a go-to Christmas card if you're like me and you send out lots of cards. And yet I think it says handmade. It's really pretty. Look what that blue does with the ink on the inside. And just like that, we have a finished card. Well, actually, I have 2 to add to my Christmas stash ready to go. There we go. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it more than you know. If you liked what you saw, please share it with your crafty friends. Until next time, take care and keep crafting. It's good for you.